Oh, how you doing? You alright? Did you see that? Oh, good. Hello, Spider-Man. Thank you for joining us on this audio podcast called Stories We Tell. This is Nelson. My name is pavements. I'm the director of the piece. So thank you for coming. I'm being upstaged by this little person, which is amazing. So we're going to go walk through Nelson. We have got students here to make sure that you feel absolutely safe. It's a leisurely walk. It's not a race. No first prizes for getting at the end. So please, it is a paced walk. And you'll be wearing these all the way throughout, and then throughout there'll be sort of surprises. So what we'll do is put on these headphones, and I'll still talk to you over it, but just to kind of let you know, on the right hand side there is a toggle for volume, but we kind of set that, but you can go up and down. There is a toggle on the right hand side if you need to lower the volume. So let's just put our headphones on. I'll try and enunciate and project. Can you still hear my voice? Yes? Okay. So we're about to start the walk. Okay.
But don't worry, it's all a part of the experience.
Keep your eyes peeled for traffic when crossing roads.
And always follow the steward's instructions.
Before we start, give a wave to the person next to you. Enjoy the walk and be safe. Here we go.
From the city.
Days from the boilers, they let the steam off because they weren't going to work over the weekend. So they let off the steam, which is why farting is sometimes called letting off round here.
So them day, they said, in the morning, if you go to any factories, mills, in office, and there's a window there, and if you knock the window and just say to them, is there any jobs? And you'll get it.
There was loads going on in the bus station. There was always 5 or 6 buses there every moment because people would always be coming, from Roughly and very kicking.
The town was really booming. People used to go from all the other towns to Nelson for shopping because the shops were really busy. 70s, 80s, 90s, up to 90s. Nelson was booming. But at the moment, there's no high-end shops.
The past used to be gorgeous, honestly.
I was a boy, it had a big fountain outside what is now the Arndale, between that and Woolworths, so it's now not Woolworths. It was called the Place de Cray because it was the name of the town we were twinned with. And when it got redeveloped, it kind of, the streets met, but there wasn't a focus.
Oh, there's lots of happy memories when we used to go to the pub up the road called the Clayton Arms. All the lads used to go there, It used to...
This area now where we're in with the benches, etc., where we go to Ireland. So when the Asians from Italy and Spain came over, so in the afternoon a lot of people used to get the coffee ones. Espresso, they all drink espressos because they're from Spain and Italy. And they used to just sit here, socialize. All these benches, never seen them so full. It used to be empty all the time.
When the weaving started in the 19th century, Nelson came from nothing. It didn't exist as a place. It was Great Marsden and Little Marsden until the mills came. And when there was a railway and a canal and steam, then Nelson was new. It got interesting.
I think it's horrible, bloody horrible. What is it? Nothing. Absolutely, we're supposed to do something to the corn trade, isn't it? So they say, but what an absolute eyesore.
If you were to walk around Nelson, if you just look at some of the older buildings, you can then get a feel of what status those buildings had within Nelson.
As you're walking down, you see the library, which replaced original market hall, was burnt down, and that was another one of the icons of the town. I appreciate that building. It's from the 70s. A lot of people don't like it, but it's an elegant building with an interesting use of aluminium.
Prosperous. In fact, those town hall steps were painted red at one time when we were called Little Moscow, between the wars. Fiercely radical Nelson.
And the library used to be a very quiet place, so even though you were doing your homework, you had to be very quiet. And they used to have us going, and when they're doing children's story time telling now, there's laughter, there's kids making noises, a real good for the community.
We used to come to the library quite a bit actually, and the Briarfield Library and the Burnley Library. So it was like days out when it was summer holidays. The library is quite central for us, particularly with the girls when they were little, for groups and going down to borrow our books, of which I think I've still got some I need to return. Shh.
When I was younger, I used to go to Nelson Library and spend more time in the children's section and take out books. I used to love the Gruffalo and stuff.
When I go to the library, my favourite book is the BFG. The BFG is a big, friendly giant, and he comes into town and he's friendly, but he takes people to make friends with. I would like the BFG to come to Nelson.
13, 14, 15 years ago, none of my friends had a computer. So the only way we'd go on the internet was you'd have to go library and you'd get like a 20-minute slot, or if you were lucky and there was space upstairs, you'd get 40, 50 minutes. But not everyone would get on, so as soon as one of your friends got on, it was like 6 of you would sit around until the librarian would throw you out. So we'd just be on there, just like playing games, whatever they had. We'd be that daft looking at it, like you could be sat next to your friend, but you'd send them an email just so they can reply when they log onto the computer, maybe in a week's time. But it was just like, oh, I'm on the internet here.
Yeah, we get a lot of folks coming in here and using the space as like a lifeline because they have no internet access, because they have sort of limited capacity to pay for heating and stuff. They come in here, use the warm space, use the free teas and coffees, use the internet. You'll open the door at 9 o'clock in the morning, they'll come in, you'll say hi, and then as you're closing at 5 o'clock in the evening, that's when they'll leave, really. It's because they know this is a safe space.
Outside the library, we take the children to the Memorial Museum on Remembrance Day to look for Muriel Dyson, who was a soldier from Nelson. The children love finding her name up there and learn about her history and heritage, and are very proud that she was from Nelson. She was one of the first female Asian soldiers from Nelson that fought in World War II, and she was killed, hence her name being on the memorial. We also do a lot of work on Leary Constantine, who was a famous cricketer from Nelson. We take the children to his house, which was just opposite our old school.
Leary Constantine, who came from the Caribbean, got a house in Nelson and lived there and had his family there. And he became a legend, really, for being a sensational international cricketer, but also as a conspicuous cultural figure, I think, famous beyond cricket. And that's the sort of connection that I think I'd like people to have, that Nelson's not just a post-industrial cotton town that's lost its way, but actually it's got very significant local figures who made a contribution way beyond this little town with its 30,000 people.
One of the sort of proudest moments, in a way, was there was a Sunday which was Remembrance Sunday, and it coincided with the day that the Islamic community were remembering the birth of the Prophet. And so, of course, when we realised that, and preached alongside me at the cenotaph during the Christian observance, and we had that.
I think you've got no options now when you're doing some DIY. Every other shop doesn't have it. You think Clark's will have it. Clark's will have it.
Oh, it's old-fashioned traditional hardware shop that that covers DIY ironmongery. They imagine it to be an old swimming bath because it's like...
I think that really helps people's morale in this area, because they've got like vistas through all the rows of terraces, and I'm sure the town must have been designed in such a way where those vistas are present.
I can distinctly remember when we were younger, my friend and I walking down Car Road, saying, of all the places in the world that our parents or father could have gone to, why the hell would he have come to a place like Nelson? But now when we meet, say, aren't we lucky that they came to a place like this because it's so beautiful. You've got the Leeds and Liverpool Canal. I can go walk along there. Of course, Pendle Hill, the iconic hill.
Oh God, the landscape. Oh my God, Pendle Hill, the views, absolutely stunning. Oh my God, there is so much greenery. It's just beautiful, everything about it. And friends of mine come from London and they say, you don't know how lucky you are because we don't have all this greenery, we don't have these views.
Pendle Hill is like the guardian of Nelson, isn't it? That's what they say, don't they? Like, it's like a massive hill that protects you against all the sort of wind and all the sort of bad weather.
I must have been up there at least, I think, round about 100 times. It's my favourite place in the world. I mean, I've been fortunate. I've been all over Europe, to the Middle East, I've been to the USA, Canada. But there's nothing better for me than the top of Pendle Hill. The peace I get, the view I see, the enjoyment and pleasure I get walking up Pendle Hill. There's nothing better for me than that.
No, I've never been up it. I've driven past it, but my kids have, my son and even the grandkids, they go up. I keep thinking, no. My son keeps threatening to take me. At that time, Pakistani ladies didn't go out to work, but they worked from home. You would have certain factories that would drop off at Asian ladies' houses, and the ladies would sew them, and they would literally get pennies, and that's what my mum did. And I think my dad must have said, well, daughters are going to follow, but obviously we're not going to do that, because we'd grown up in a Western town. Hardly any Asian people at all, and to us, the norm is you go to school. I stand in the window to watch me. They used to tell their mum, we want to be like that girl. Isn't that nice? And I remember when I left college to start work, my first pay pack I gave to my mum, and I said, that sewing machine is now going to leave this house. You are never going to work again. Seriously. And so from that day, my mum never worked again.
We want that to ooze out and to show that's like the person out to represent.
My favourite singer is Mrs. Bunty because she sings. My favourite singer is Jenna Ortega because she does not blink. My wish would be everyone being kind. My wish would be spreading the word. The scum on the floor is bad when there's things on the floor. My wish would be to have superpowers. So then, if
can't do that. It comes from to the right, and then we meet, so you kind of leave the window of the window. That is beautiful. It was just kind of like a dream. I thought, yeah, you know, I'd love to do that, but no plan to see. Like Joe, well, let's go to K2. And like, yeah, we'll go K2 as well. And it kind of grew into a plan. And actually, I'm going to do this. And as that Pendle Hill was my main training ground for this. I go here, rain or shine, snow, do my training for these steps. I've always been a Sufi, a person who believes in spiritual practices and how everything around us is living. Trees, the earth, hills, and we believe that mountains have been this portal that God's used to communicate with prophets. So I've always had that belief in mountains are something really, really special. And I kind of carried that belief to this, in this journey that I went on K2, that these mountains, these giants that are magnificent, are being used to communicate scripture from God to humanity. So I carry that belief with places that I go to, and I would say definitely for living in Nelson, guy's been on every street since the 1980s.
Well, it's like a gossipy town. You know that everyone knows everyone, everyone's in everyone's business. You know that wherever you go, you're looked after. Like you don't. It's kind of like an auntie that you can talk to about anything. That's kind of the vibe I would get.
So
it's proud. When I've lived away in cities, you can feel isolated, and you never feel like that at home. Like in Nelson,